Hey, good morning, good morning. It's early, 4th of July, going paddleboarding. Finally got the beast back, and I know it's gonna sound really stupid, okay? But, oh my God, I love that car. Not obsessively, not anything, like crazy. It's just a really nice car. It's a good car. And I'm surprised to be saying that, to tell you the truth. There's going to be a shift in some of my videos. And you'll see that later as this follows on. I just want to do my little intro here because they said do intros. And going out there. I don't know if you can see it out there. Completely calm. Completely quiet. Completely getting eaten up by no-see-ums. All right, I'll be back.
I think you're really cool. I like you a lot. Maybe we can hang out or something. Hey, I think you're really cool. I like you a lot. Maybe we can hang out or something.
Okay. This is many, many days later, and I did a thing, and I kind of want to bring you in to talk about some of it. And part of it is this tripod, and it's a carbon fiber tripod or carbon fiber adjacent that I put this ARCS. Sorry, it's been a long day. I'm tired. I'm kind of dragging. Mount on there, and specifically left it loose like that to use with a project that I worked on that I'm going to show you here. It's in there. So let me pull it out, and I'll kind of go over it with you, what's going on with it, and a decision I made regarding that right there. Well, there's a tip. So yeah, let me pull it out and show it to you, and we'll get into what's going on. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with today. Started life as my father's Savage Model 12 short action 308 7.62 heavy barrel. It was mounted in a synthetic stock, and back in the day when I first encountered the rifle as it was before, it was a tack driver. I mean, way out there tack driver. It had a Nikon scope on it. It's over in a box over there. And internal box fed magazine. And as we discovered this last week, it appears that the old man, my dad, before he passed, had taken the stock off and had adjusted the trigger, the Accu trigger. And I mean, you touch this thing and it goes off. It's probably got a pound pull on it. Well, if you know anything about Savage Accu triggers, they suffer from Accu triggeritis. And basically what that means is that the pull has been adjusted so loose that the AccuTrigger doesn't completely engage the sear pin, and it will not fire. You can, and it's random. We had metal 10 round, 5 round magazines in it, and take it out, slam another one in there, load the exact same rounds into the thing and cycle it. It wouldn't fire those. And there was no firing pin strike on the end of the cartridge, the primer. It was not dimpled or dented. So it was never even striking the primer. And we looked at the casings, and it wasn't like the head spacing or something was off or anything like that. Something was just keeping it from firing. And then randomly you could put those exact same rounds that would not fire before into a different magazine, and it didn't matter, and it would fire them. And I'm telling you, it would touch it, and it would just boom, just looking at the trigger. So in looking at it and reading up on it in AI, I suspected and confirmed that it was the trigger, that there was an issue with it. And basically what it boils down to is I'm going to have to take the action off of the stock, the chassis, and underneath in here is a set screw that I have to turn anywhere from 1/4 to 1/2 inch clockwise. And that should give it enough clearance and tighten up the trigger pull enough that it'll stop it and it actually engage the sear pin. Let me kind of break down exactly what this is. This is an MDT ORYX aluminum chassis, all one-piece chassis. It has a CVLife bipod on it, mounted on the M-lock rail. There's an ARCS Picatinny rail to mount on bipods like it is there. It's a CVLife Barometer scope. You can see the information on it. And it is a lit reticle, Christmas tree reticle. And it was not set right. And I made the mistake of the scope that was on there. Back when I was a kid, it was all Weaver mount, and basically it's just a couple of gouges in the top of the action, and you'd clamp the Weaver clamps onto to that and tighten it down and sight it in. And in my zeal to get this thing put together, I overlooked the fact that there's little indentions in a Picatinny rail, and there were protrusions in the bottom of these where they were supposed to fit in the rail, so it wasn't fully seated down on the Picatinny rail. We overcame that at the range and got it seated right, but we never really got it dialed in, only to find out that I forgot to put batteries in it here, and the lit reticle was never presented, and as a consequence we never fully got it dialed in. As I decided that I needed to take this apart, and I'm not going to take the scope off, I decided, in playing with this tripod and messing with it, realized that I could collapse the legs all the way up, and the legs would lay almost completely flat. So instead of running a bipod, and the original purchase in this whole thing was this 9.5 inch ARCS maglock to ARCS rail system, was going to be mounted on the bottom of it, but it didn't really give me enough room to mount the bipod, and I felt it was more important that, oh my god, this thing's got to have a bipod, because it's so cotton picking heavy. But I've since decided that this is probably the format that it'll be used in most cases, on a bipod or resting on something, or with the tripod laid out. And I've got a monopod and a bipod Y yoke that it gets set on. So there's other options besides just getting stuck with the bipod. And trust me, those bipods right there are incredible. They do a good job. And I'm not real super excited about just that little bitty ACRS plate that it's mounted on. I felt like it needed probably a little bit more. So when I take the action off here in a second, I'm going to switch that short plate there out for the long plate and remove the bipod. And we're going to set it back up. And I have a laser sighting set that I'm going to use and just kind of run it down the end of the hallway and turn it on and see if I can't get the scope to move, and at least try to get it to a partial zero. This is a first focal plane scope. It's got a parallax adjustment. It's got brightness, 6 different levels of brightness here. The parallax adjustment is here. Windage, elevation. Then there's the zoom for the focus, and then there's the eye relief here. It doesn't look, because I'm right up on top of it, it doesn't look like that big of a scope. It is a big ass scope, and it weighs just short of 3 pounds. So I also went and bought, because it's an MDT, I didn't want to use an AICS type of magazine, so I bought the MDTs, and I didn't want to start investing into a lot of magazines until I tested to make sure that they had run it. So I got this one yesterday. I ordered it at the same time from MDT, this Poly magazine, 10-round magazine, and I have a 10-round metal and a 5-round metal. And I bought the 5-round metal for if we were in a very low prone shooting, you wouldn't want to be hampered by the length of that magazine sticking out of it. Kind of a weird way of putting it in and locking it down. You have to have the magazine release push forward and shove it up, and it just bolts right in. It's not a big deal, but it's different than what you would expect. So let me get this thing off of here and see if I can get the action unbolted, and I'll show you the set screw that we got to adjust. Kind of hard to do this one-handed and hold the thing. So that is the action, the MDT ORYX rail chassis, and that's one of the mounting holes there, and there's the other one. And there's a lot of adjustments that can be made to it. You can change the hand grip, raise and lower the cheek comb there. Lots of things that you can do to it. What we need to adjust is the set screw right inside there. This is tightened a little bit too tight. The old man trying to make it a hair trigger, and it worked. It just impeded the release of the sear. So in any case, we're going to correct that right now and back it off about quarter to a half of a turn and clockwise. Bring it back in. Well, it's kind of a point of confusion here. I wanted to demonstrate what it's doing. The odd thing is that there is no set screw in there, as I was led to believe that there should be. So that's cycled, racked in. It's empty, obviously. You can watch and listen. Now that time it fully engaged and and dry fired. Cycle it again, and if you just barely, there, you heard that, it was a solid thud, and the sear pin did not engage, and the trigger is frozen in that position. It will not do anything. There's no movement that you can make on the safety. See if there's anything. That time it fired. And it may have something to do, there's a school of thought that the way that your finger is put on the release up there, the AccuTrigger, that causes it. And well, I just can't have that. We'll replace the AccuTrigger before we deal with that. You know, the one time that you need a bullet to go around to fire and you put your finger in wrong and it doesn't fire, that's not going to happen. So let me do some more investigating, but that is the AccuTrigger on a Savage Model 12, and we'll see what's going on. Okay, so bring you back in here. If you look down in there, you see the underneath that Allen head machine screw, there's that oval piece of metal. I'm not absolutely sure that I did not have that in the right position, because you can rotate it around, slide it forward. I don't know exactly how much adjustment is in these actions, but it would appear, based on just cycling the action just now, that without having to do any adjustment to the spring for trigger pull, that we may have corrected the issue just by how it's setting in the chassis itself. It's said to bounce it real hard on the floor to get it to seat against the recoil lug inside the chassis, and it's seated. The biggest thing is that you get it torqued down and to the right foot-pounds. I don't think you're going to have issues with that. I'm a little happier with the way that the safety tray there is laying in the chassis. It seems like it was quite a ways further back before. Looks like it's slid. You can see it there, a little bit of wear on it. Kind of a shiny spot right there behind the red dot, saying that it's hot. It's in the fire position, so it looks like I might have had it back far enough that just to armor error that it was impinging the trigger mechanism. The other thing I was playing with is the the AccuTrigger. I think I may have been a little bit off in how I was approaching in my setup to a shot. I think the better way of, hell, I might have been just jerking the trigger back, thinking it's just a regular trigger, and it's not. It's more like a set trigger. You pull that center part back until it touches the finger pad on the trigger, the shiny part of the trigger. Pull it back until your fingers touch the dark part of the trigger, and then just a little bit of a pull, a very slight amount of pressure against it, it sets it off. Instead of just coming straight back and all in just one chug. So I may have been compounding this issue due to inexperience and ignorance. So let me see. I'll bring you back here in a minute. I gotta do some torquing down here on these chassis mounting screws. We'll leave it the way it is, and put this rail on. And if I'd had a damn bit of sense, when I had the chassis off of the action, I would have went ahead and mounted this and saved myself a lot of pissing and moaning, but you know, that's how I roll. Let's just do it the hard way. You know, if you don't learn, you'll feel. So this is the feeling part. Let me dial that back in, or put that back in, and I'll bring you back in. Okay, I went ahead and paid the stupid tax and took the action and barrel assembly out. And it's a good thing I did, because there is no way I'd have gotten those little nuts to actually seat properly. What's not readily apparent here is that there's a slight arch or arc right about right there in the bottom of the stock, and it goes pretty much flat from here up, but it gets a little thicker right there. So the screws all being the same length and barely long enough for this thinner section, I would have caught hell trying to get those T-nuts to seat and screw in and stay flat. There's been much profanity hurled over that. So one of the questions that maybe somebody, if anybody's watching this, those little set screws on the end, those two silver ones there and there, they're obviously limiters. I was under the impression that you just took the rifle and slid it up on into the rail and creased it, you know, cranked down on the thumb screw, tightened down on this rail. But that would require that those two right there come off, or those two. And I'm starting to think that maybe you open the clamp up enough that you can set it in kind of sideways and set it down and tighten up, and then that's your limiter from sliding forward out of the assembly or out of the lock and backwards out of it. So for right now, I'm going to leave them there and work off the idea that that's how you're supposed to do it. But it is mounted, and I feel a lot better about it. If anything, you know, I could always get a CRS clamped bipod like that instead of M-lock and mount it on here. It's not the end of the world. So that is mounted. Now let's put the action back in and see if we can't make sure we put it in a way that's not going to impinge the firing pin. So there is that. Sorry about the shadow. The rail is mounted, and I just kind of set it on the plate. It was open a little bit, and just tightened down the thumb screw. You know, mounted it from the side here, just kind of arched it and dropped it on and clamped it in. Tightened up the base nut there, and what it is there's a cup here, and it'll allow it to move and have some adjustment, some free play. Hold on, I'm trying not to, so that when you're at the target you can see there's a cup there, and you can move the thing just about any way you want. And you can also use the bubble and get the thing level. I can't imagine having a shot giving you so much time that you've got time to, wait, let me get my bubble right. There's another bubble over here, right there, I believe. You see it? Not very well, but you can see it, to see if the tripod itself is level, and then you have the rifle on bubble. Now I thought about getting one ring mounted bubble gauge to show if the scope is twisted this way or that way, We'll see. I'm obviously probably not done with this by a long ways. I still want to take this off and have the barrel threaded for a suppressor at some point. But let's see if we can't get the Doomahichi hooked up to it. And again, there is no ammo in it. And this is a poly clip. And let me show you if I can do it one-handed here. You put that up in there, but you have to push forward on the magazine release, and it'll seat right up in there. Well, it would if you had it going in the cotton picking magazine well, right? So, and it just snapped right in, so I don't think there'll be any problems at all running the poly MDX clip in there. Bolt is open, magazine is empty, chamber's empty. So yeah, I just realized that the flip-up scope cap is missing. It's got to be in the bag, so let me find that, and then I will get the laser sight kit out, and we'll just run it down the hallway and see what it looks like, just down the hallway. See how far it is off. Okay, it was number 7, and it's stuck all the way down in there. It's in here about right to here, and snug down inside the barrel, keeping it right down the center. You don't want the whole thing sticking, hanging way out, dangling by a little piece just stuck in right here. You want the whole thing down in the barrel and tightened down so it's not just, coming out. There's a little rigidity to it. And then you turn the sight on, and right there is coming out the end of the barrel. So let's see what's going on. Okay, I made some adjustments to raise the cheek comb up quite a bit. Made a hell of a difference in the aiming point. Now, once I take this to the range again and bust a couple rounds, probably bring that with me so I get a little further aiming point than just down the hallway there. Not very accurate, and I need something that's flat instead of something at an angle. And then we'll dial this sucker in. I'm pretty confident that this was caused by the action being slid back too far. What I was trying to explain is that rub area right there. You can see it's slight gray area from being slid back too far. We'll see. But other than that, need to get this thing dialed in and get it so it'll drive tacks at 1,000 yards. And I'm happy with this versus having the bipod hanging out the end of it. And it's got the built-in thumb rest here. Be interested in learning how to get comfortable with your thumb just sitting there like that when you're on the trigger, on the scope. And you notice that my finger's not on the trigger at all. It's not even touching it. It's alongside of it. So anyways, that is the Savage Model 12 heavy barrel action in a MDT ORYX. I never even thought about adjusting the length of pull. It's pretty good the way it is right there. They do make spacers for it, and I may wind up getting a pad for this, who knows. But for right now, until I get it further dialed in, I am way happier with it the way it sets. This will go back in stock for another build that I've got coming. and we'll definitely keep you posted. I've got to get some of those knives in here, and those knives, pistols and stuff that I've acquired over the last couple of months that I haven't been documenting, and I really need to. So soon to come is a AR-10 308, an AR-9 9mm, and a S&W MP 1522, and then the scopes or lights. I've got a Kimber that I've left open-sided because that sucker drives nails, tacks the way it is open-sided. I love that pistol. Sounds like a howitzer going off at the gun range. 9mm PSA dagger, Glock knockoff. One of the pistols that I will be getting, I promise you, is a Canic 9mm. Academy has them on sale for like $329, everyday low price. I just want to see them and shoot one, because they're supposed to be very well made pieces. The 380 auto, 9mm, a 22 semi-automatic, Smith & Wesson M&P 22, the Kimber 45. There's several others, and then I've got the receivers to make, or the lower receivers to make a pistol, 300 blackout pistol, and or a short barreled rifle, 300 blackout, and a AR-15. So we will see. But thank you for watching. I hope this is interesting to you. I apologize for being a little bit quiet. I'm inside trying to not be rude and show you some of the stuff that I'm building up here in my office. And I like it. I like it a lot. When I get a can suppressor to screw on the end of it, I like it a lot better, I think. So, thanks for watching, and share it with your friends. Like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.